I'm going to do a little tutorial today about grabbing your line drawings and black and white textures and using them in your Photoshop and Procreate illustrations. I'm going to use the channels, so make sure that window is open under Window, your channels, right? This is the best way, the quickest way really to grab all the grayscale information that you want to put into your illustration. So first things first, here's a charcoal line drawing. You can notice that the lines are super uneven. There's all kinds of smudges. I like that. I want that. It shows the human hand. That is something you can't get from a texture pack or brushes that you get from Photoshop or Procreate that tend to really look computery, right? And then it looks just like a sketch and not like a human did it. It doesn't look as finalized as something, weirdly, as when a human does it by hand. So we're doing this by hand. So first things first, I'm gonna go to Adjustments, Brightness and Contrast and bump up the contrast, right? I want that black, super black. And I want the gray, super gray, right? Secondly, I'm sure my layers are open as well as my channels. And I am going to, on the channels thumbnail for the layer, I want it gray, right? I want the grayscale. Make sure the mode here is set to grayscale, right? So that this is set to gray. And I'm going to hit Flower or Command, and you see how the hand has a little icon next to it now, and just click once. All right, that weirdly in channels, I don't quite understand why, is selecting everything in that layer except for the gray. So we need to select the opposite of what we have selected right now. Right now we have all the white pixels selected. We want the opposite. So I'm going to go to Select, Inverse, and now I've got the inverse selected, which are all the gray pixels, all of them, all the smudges, everything. It's a super easy way to make a black and white selection. Then in layers, I'm going to add a new layer down to the bottom here, right? So now I have a new layer sitting on top of the background. I'm going to go back to the background, hit Copy, Command C, or under Edit, Copy, right? So I'm copying all those black and gray pixels, and then I'm going back to my new layer and hitting Paste, Command V. All right, now I have a brand new layer that is a duplicate of the grayscale layer, the background layer, but it's only the black pixels and some gray got selected in there too. It's a pretty good selection. So now I can, create a new layer under this. I can change the mode to RGB. Don't merge, excuse me. I can, colorize this, and I've got this really, and if I set this to multiply, I've got this nice solid black line that looks like a human made it. I like humans, don't you? So there's that. It's an easy way to create a black line, a really versatile black line drawing. The other thing you can do is if you lock these pixels up here in the layers panel, you can actually paint these pixels a color. So they don't have to be black, they can be any color you want. And because the pixels are locked, the only pixels that are getting colored are the ones that have black information on them, and the rest is being left alone. But look at all that yummy texture, like all these little doohickeys in here. You can't get that from a computer. All right, let's move on to something like this. I'm going to do the same thing just for giggles. Let's go to Adjustments, Brightness and Contrast. And I always like to click on this Use Legacy to keep things really, bump things up really nicely. And let's bump up the contrast. I still want to keep some grayscale in here. By the way, I made this with some ink, just some splotches of ink and a hairdryer. That's how you get these nice kind of crazy drips. All right, so now I bumped up the contrast. I might crop it down so that the edge of the paper isn't showing. Some rubber stamp in there as well. And then same thing, I'm going to hit Command and click on the thumbnail in channels, and then I'm going to select the inverse, which is Shift flower I. I'm going to hit copy, Command C, and I'm going to hit paste, Command V. Right? Oh, that's interesting. Somewhat less of the gray showed up, but I still think this is fine. I think for our purposes this will work just fine. Let's try it out. I'm going to lock the pixels. I'm going to change the mode to RGB or CMYK, whatever you want, and choose a brush and paint. Yep, it's still working. And in fact, it's painting this nice grayscale in addition to the darker blacks. So when the ink was lighter, it's kind of showing up as this nice pink. And when the ink is darker, it's showing up as bright red, kind of like a Riso effect. Again, the beauty of using kind of handmade textures. One last, now this is something that I think this will be really cool for the interior of your shape. So I found these end papers in an old book. I thought they were really beautiful, these old kind of paste papers. So I'm going to do the same thing. So it's already kind of bumped up as far as the contrast. I'm going to select the channel, the pixels on the channel. I'm going to select the black pixels. Let's hit copy and paste. And then I'm going to Command A, Command C. So I'm going to copy these pixels now. And then let's start a new document. And then I'm gonna make a shape. Let's try and make a somewhat nicer shape. All right, just like a googly little, but not some kind of shape. Right, make a selection. And remember, I've got that texture copied into memory. And then I'm going to paste special and paste into. So now I've got this texture inside this googly shape. And I can move this around by selecting not the mask, but the pixels. And I'm going to move this around in the shape so I can get the texture exactly where I want it to be. So this can also be set to multiply. So let's try this. So I just took this texture and hit Command I, flower I. Oopsie, sorry. Let's try this. Flower I to reverse it. So now it's mostly, you know, black on white instead of white on black. Right? That's what this is. Same thing. Command, select the channel, go to the background, select the inverse, hit copy, hit paste, and then Command A, Command C to copy this texture, and then back to our sort of fun little test here. Let's make a new shape. So this is a kind of a cool way to get into like digital collage that has your own textures built in. Once again, paste special, paste into, and there that texture shows up. Now because they're transparent black pixels, or the white is transparent rather, you're getting this nice crossover. So it really looks like a nice painting. So you can add to the selection just by selecting and then filling this mask with white. Keep going. Kind of cool. Maybe that's too much. Maybe not. Anyway, there you go. There's the demo for today. Take care, everybody.